Hey everyone. Welcome to the Bold and Beautiful 24. I'm Alessio, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love bold and beautiful, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in.
Remy Price's shocking revelation hit the Forrester guest house like a nuclear bomb, sending shockwaves through the Spencer Forrester-Logan Nozawa web of families, and the fallout was immediate and catastrophic as he calmly but with a glint of accusation in his eyes laid down a folder of photographs, timestamped text messages, and hotel receipts that he claimed were irrefutable proof that Luna Nozawa, who had been loudly professing her undying devotion to Will Spencer and carrying around the image of their unborn child as a badge of legitimacy and hope for a picture-perfect future, had in fact spent a torrid night with him just last month, shattering the illusion that Will was the only possible father of her child, and as Luna's eyes widened in horror and her hands trembled while clutching her stomach protectively, she tried desperately to refute his claims, saying that Remy was lying, manipulating, and trying to destroy her future, but the evidence he presented seemed chillingly precise, down to video clips from the hotel lobby camera that appeared to show Luna entering with him late at night and leaving the next morning disheveled and wearing the same clothes, which gave ammunition to Electra Forrester, who had been suspicious of Luna's motives from the very beginning and now looked positively vindicated, hurling accusations at Luna with tears of rage in her eyes, while Katie Logan, who had been trying to manage Bill Spencer's dangerous temper and keep him from going over the edge in his vendetta against Luna, looked between the parties in utter disbelief, realizing this scandal could rip apart not just her family but also threaten custody battles over the baby that might not even belong to Will at all, as the Spencer patriarch himself stormed in demanding answers, his fury evident in the clenched fists and reddened face that showed he was one outburst away from breaking furniture or worse, demanding to know how long Luna had been deceiving his son and whether she had been using the pregnancy as leverage to manipulate the Spencer family into accepting her, and Finn, torn between his medical oath, his lingering sense of connection to Luna as his daughter, and his loyalty to Steffi Forrester, tried to get to the truth scientifically by insisting on an immediate paternity test, which only threw more gasoline on the fire since Will shouted that he didn't need science to know what he felt, that he loved Luna and their baby, and that Remy was nothing but a liar seeking to tear them apart out of jealousy and resentment. Yet the camera shots of the evidence spread across the table told a story that was difficult to deny, and Luna, realizing that her silence was only digging her deeper, finally broke down, sobbing as she confessed that something had happened with Remy but swore it wasn't what it looked like, that she had been drugged, pressured, or tricked, though her story was fractured and left dangerous room for doubt, especially when Remy, with calculated calm, admitted that while he hadn't forced her, he believed their encounter was consensual and real, meaning he fully believed he could be the father of her unborn child, setting the stage for months of DNA test drama, contested custody battles, and emotional implosions that would ripple through every character connected to this tangled mess. While Electra seized the moment to demand that Will open his eyes and see Luna for the liar and manipulator she was, planting seeds of doubt in his heart that threatened to undo his blind devotion, and Katie, realizing that Bill's next move could be catastrophic, begged her ex-husband not to lash out at Luna physically or ruin Will's life further, but Bill's voice thundered that no woman was going to play his son for a fool the way Brooke, Steffi, and others had manipulated the Spencer men in the past, swearing that if the baby turned out to be Remy's, Luna would be out of their lives for good. But in true soap opera fashion, the drama didn't stop there, because Sheila Carter, always lurking in the shadows whenever a scandal could be twisted to her advantage, overheard just enough of the confrontation to begin plotting how to use this paternity scandal to worm her way back into Finn's good graces by positioning herself as the only person who would stand by him and Luna through this chaos, while Steffi, furious that her husband was once again being pulled into the wreckage of Luna's decisions, declared that she wouldn't allow Finn to be manipulated by another woman claiming ties to him, not after everything Sheila had put them through, and now Luna was proving to be just as toxic, leaving Finn caught between his professional instinct to protect a pregnant woman and his personal loyalty to his wife, as the camera zoomed in on Luna's tear-streaked face, her sobs echoing while she pleaded that Will believe her love was true even if her past mistakes threatened to unravel it all, setting up a future where the results of the DNA test could make or break the destiny of multiple families, drive wedges between lovers, and resurrect old rivalries, because in the bold and the beautiful, the truth is never simple, betrayal always lurks behind every corner, and paternity has the power to change everything forever. The tension in the room didn't just sit there, it thickened, pressing down like a suffocating fog, and every character felt it differently as the camera panned from face to face, capturing the layered storm of emotions that turned the single revelation into a seismic family implosion. Will's eyes were blazing with both fury and confusion as he demanded to know why Luna hadn't told him about this supposed night with Remy, his voice cracking as he asked if she'd been lying to him every time she promised he was the father, every time she let him touch her stomach and bond with their unborn child, while Luna, clutching her belly like it was her shield against the entire world, kept repeating through sobs that Will was her future, that Remy was nothing, that the so-called evidence had been twisted, manipulated, maybe even fabricated, though her words stumbled and cracked in ways that made even Katie's brow furrow in doubt. Electra pounced on those hesitations, sneering that of course Luna would deny it. That's what liars do, reminding Will of every whisper of warning she'd given him for weeks, the way she had tried to save him from falling into Luna's trap, and now she was standing there vindicated, smirking triumphantly even through her tears because the truth, or at least a version of it, was finally spilling out, giving her ammunition to keep driving wedges between Will and the woman who had taken his love from her. Bill Spencer, never one to play diplomat when rage was coursing through his veins, slammed his fist on the table, making the folder of evidence rattle as he bellowed that this was exactly why he never trusted Luna, why he had told Katie, Steffi, and even Finn that bringing her into their lives was a mistake, and he vowed that if it turned out Remy was the father, then he would make sure Luna never used the Spencer name, Spencer money, or Spencer protection ever again, growling that he would personally drag her out of their world if she tried to cling to Will after this betrayal, while Katie tried to calm him down, reminding him that violence and ultimatums weren't the answer, though even she couldn't disguise the worry in her voice as she acknowledged that if Remy's claims held up, everything Luna had built with Will could come crashing down like a house of cards. Finn stepped into the mess with his doctor's measured tone, trying to bring rationality by insisting on medical proof before anyone destroyed their lives with speculation, suggesting they schedule a paternity test immediately, but his professional detachment cracked when Steffi interjected, her voice sharp with protective venom, telling him that no test was going to fix the chaos Luna kept creating, that Finn needed to stop defending a woman who had done nothing but cause destruction since she entered their lives, and that he had a family with her and their children to protect, not some scandal-ridden young woman who kept dragging him into her vortex of drama. Luna, in utter desperation, turned to Will, sobbing as she begged him not to listen to Remy, not to let this tear them apart, promising that she would prove the baby was his, that their love was real, but Remy stood tall, calm, and almost smug as he declared he wasn't doing this to hurt her but because he had a right to the truth, that if the baby was his, then he wasn't going to let Will or anyone else erase him from his child's life, and he had the evidence to back up his claims, evidence that couldn't just be waved away by tears and excuses. The emotional tug-of-war was brutal, Will's loyalty and love for Luna battling with his pride, fear of being played for a fool, and the Spencer instinct for vengeance, Luna's desperation to cling to the only future she saw for herself colliding with her mistakes or secrets of the past, Electra's vindication feeding her determination to tear Luna down once and for all. Katie's maternal instincts driving her to try to preserve calm and prevent Bill's wrath from spiraling. The cliffhanger energy pulsed as Luna finally shouted that she would take the test, that she would prove once and for all that Remy was lying and Will was the father, but the quiver in her voice, the haunted look in her eyes, suggested to the audience that deep down, she wasn't completely certain herself, and that uncertainty was the dagger poised to cut through every relationship in the room, setting up not just a single confrontation, but a months-long battle over paternity, trust, betrayal, and the future of the next generation of Spencers, Forresters, and Nozawas. The confrontation didn't simmer down, it detonated into even deeper layers of chaos as Remy, emboldened by the ripple of doubt he saw spreading across Will's anguished face, reached back into his folder and pulled out yet another stack of evidence, this time revealing screenshots of late-night text exchanges that seemed to show Luna reaching out to him weeks before their alleged encounter, messages where she appeared vulnerable, conflicted, and even flirtatious, words that to Will looked like betrayal carved in digital stone, though Luna instantly lunged forward, shaking her head violently, insisting that those texts were altered, that she had never sent them, that Remy was doctoring the truth to make her look guilty because he couldn't stand to see her happy with Will, but Remy pushed back with an almost chilling calm, saying he didn't need to manufacture anything. That night had happened, that he remembered every detail, the hotel, the way she clung to him, the way she cried in his arms, painting A picture so vivid that Will staggered back as if he had been physically struck, his entire body shuddering with the realization that he might not know the woman he had sworn to build a life with at all, while Electra seized on Remy's words with poisonous satisfaction, declaring that she had been right all along, that Will's sweet Luna was nothing more than a liar who used her beauty and her crocodile tears to sink her claws into him. And now, thanks to Remy's courage, the mask had finally slipped. Bill, standing like a storm about to break, glared at Luna with eyes so cold they could cut steel, vowing that if she was conning his son, she wouldn't get away with it, not with him standing in the room, and Katie rushed to grab his arm, knowing the look in his eye was the same one he had worn in the darkest moments of his life, when his rage had pushed him toward actions he could never take back, whispering for him to calm down, to think of Will's heart instead of his fin, caught in the tidal wave of emotion, raised his voice just enough to regain a semblance of order, declaring that speculation, accusations, and even doctored or real evidence wouldn't settle this. They needed science, they needed a DNA test, and only then would the truth be revealed. But even that rational path seemed to spark chaos as Luna panicked, shaking her head as if the thought of waiting weeks for results was unbearable. While Remy smirked and said he was ready, he would take the test tonight, tomorrow. Anytime, because he had nothing to fear, and Will, breaking down, shouted that he didn't need a test, that he already knew what this meant, that the woman he loved had betrayed him, leaving Luna screaming through tears that she hadn't, that she loved him, that whatever had happened with Remy wasn't what it looked like, but her voice cracked on the last words, leaving a silence that spoke louder than anything, and Steffi, arms folded with icy composure, took that silence as confirmation that her instincts had been right all along, that Luna was trouble, that Finn needed to cut ties immediately before her lies destroyed not just Will but their entire family. The drama reached an unbearable pitch when Luna suddenly collapsed to her knees, sobbing into her hands, whispering that she couldn't explain everything yet, that something had happened that night that even she didn't fully understand, her words a riddle that only deepened the mystery, while the camera zoomed in on Remy's smug yet strangely pained expression, suggesting that maybe his own story wasn't as simple as he was making it out to be, that maybe he, too, was holding the air in the guesthouse became electric, vibrating with the kind of tension that makes viewers lean closer to their screens, because every character seemed to be on the verge of combusting, and when Luna, still on her knees, lifted her tear-streaked face toward Will, the raw desperation in her voice tore through the room like glass shattering as she begged him to look into her eyes and see the truth, insisting that what she felt for him was real. That Remy was twisting when those test results come back. It's going to prove what you and I both know happened. The words landed like a grenade, and Will staggered as if they had physically struck him, his hand clutching the back of a chair for support, his world collapsing under the weight of doubt, betrayal, and the possibility that the child he had already bonded with, imagined playing baseball with, and promised to protect was not even his at all. Electra, unable to resist twisting the knife, stepped closer to Will, sliding her hand toward his arm as she hissed that she had warned him, that she had been the only one who truly cared enough to tell him the truth about Luna, and now it was all unraveling just as she said it would. But Will yanked his arm away, eyes blazing with fury at everyone, at Luna for her secrets, at Remy for his smug revelations, at Electra for her opportunism, at his father for being so quick. Bill, his jaw clenched so tight the veins in his neck bulged, took a step toward Remy, towering over him, his voice low and dangerous as he growled that no man messes with his son and gets away with it, making Katie lunge between them, hands on Bill's chest as she pleaded with him not to make this worse, not to drag Will's pain into a full-fledged war that could end in violence. But the camera caught the flicker of Remy's smirk as he dared Bill with his eyes, almost inviting. Meanwhile, Finn tried once more to wrestle control of the spiraling situation, stepping closer to Luna and gently but firmly telling her that if she wanted even a chance of salvaging her future, she had to agree to the DNA test. Steffi, standing behind him like his shadow but with fire blazing in her eyes, spat out that there was no salvaging anything, that Finn was wasting his breath defending someone who had been nothing but a storm of destruction since the moment the pressure became